I was at Toastmasters last night, and I thought I'd have a go at delivering the introduction to my talk that I'm giving next week. So I wasn't planning on doing this, but it worked out quite well in the end. I was meant to be evaluating somebody else, and they pulled out. So I thought, well, I'll jump in and do a talk, because I know that when I do that, it kind of really focuses my mind and makes me really step up, because I've got a deadline, right? I've got another week to go, I've got plenty of time, but actually with just a few hours to go, half a day, it really focuses my attention, and I get a lot more done when that's the case. So I gave it a crack last night, just the introduction to the talk, and I sort of wove in a bit of the detail as well, which meant that I was actually giving a proper 5.5 or so minute speech. But here's the thing, it went well, really pleased, and it was a good opportunity for me to test out some of the ideas and the hilarious jokes that I'm going to be telling next week. I think they're funny. I think I'm funny. I think I'm hilarious. But that's not always reflected in the audience. So fortunately, there was the right level of mirth in amongst the crowd. I wouldn't say they were rolling in the aisles, but it wasn't that kind of talk. But anyway, the reason I bring that up today, when I promised that I was going to speak about this subject of progress, not perfection, is because it's exactly that I'm talking about. This is a perfect example. So I knew that it wasn't polished. I knew that it wasn't quite ready. But I also knew that by doing it, it was going to focus my attention. It was going to give me some real world feedback and real experience of having done that, so that it makes me a few steps further forwards than I would be if I just decided right now I'm going to turn up and deliver it. So it was a really good, I think, example of that, as are these videos. So these videos I started off back in January doing a video a day, and I didn't wait until I had all the fancy YouTube training and know how to do end screens and cards and thumbnails and write descriptions, and I didn't know how to do all that stuff. I still don't, although I'm experimenting with it. But I didn't want to let that stop me from getting started, and I was very open about this in the first place, that my goal really was to build a habit, and ultimately maybe it'll grow into something else, and it already is changing. I've got the Plankathon on here. I did a live webinar on here as well, so it's already growing into something that I didn't really expect it to be right back on day one. But I knew that the most important thing was I just had to get started. I just had to get going, and that was the key. Make some progress, get some data, get some real world experience, and then you can build from there. So how does that relate to perhaps you and goals that you're looking at progressing towards at the moment? Well, sometimes when we have a goal, especially in the world of well-being, whether it's weight loss or changing diets or breaking habits, it can feel very overwhelming when you think you've got to do it all. When you think you've got to get everything right, you've got to wait for the right time, you've got to wait for the right set of circumstances. Sorry, I'm using my fingers here. You can't actually see that on the video. Gesticulation's useless. But you've got to wait for all these things. And actually the reality is that you don't have to do something. So taking some action, some kind of imperfect action, and then iterating, tweaking, changing things slightly, upgrading things, getting that feedback, finding out what works, what doesn't work, and then changing things and doing, making more progress. This is where you get to where you want to be. It's not by waiting for the perfect time or just throwing yourself in there, making wholesale changes that feel overwhelming and take a lot of willpower and discipline and determination to stick to. And then you go through that exact cycle, all or nothing. It goes from all back to nothing again. It's frustrating when that happens. Whereas if you simplify things, you just do a few things and you do them well, and you're very specific about the things that you're going to do, the changes that you're going to make, then it builds that confidence. And you realize that big leaps are actually made up of lots of small steps along the way. So the progress and not perfection works for many things. Obviously, if you're a heart surgeon or a rocket scientist, then perfection's pretty important in certain tasks and certain professions. But for most of us, when we're looking at achieving a goal, and it's a new thing, and it's not, other people's lives aren't necessarily depending upon it, then doing something and accepting that you might fail is absolutely okay. Because the worst thing that happens if you fail at something, it's not a reflection on you. It's just more information. It's another thing that you can feed back into the machine. The challenge comes when you judge yourself and you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm a failure. I can't do this. that's when you start getting into sticky water, I think, because you start building up stories about yourself to yourself that you're not the kind of person who's able to do this. And that becomes obviously more problematic. So key thing is to really, really think about the progress that you can make. What small steps, what small actions can you take to move you slightly closer towards your goals? Obviously, sometimes you can take lots of steps, you can take lots of big actions, and that's fantastic as well. But just do not feel like you have to do it all, because you absolutely don't have to do it all in one go in order to start making some significant progress towards where it is you want to be. So there we go. That is Teachy George, number 1. Hopefully that's been of some use, interest / entertainment value. Probably got a few more of these that I could rattle off over the next few days and weeks. But if you do have anything specific that you want to know about, maybe it's a question, if it's something I think is going to be of value to more people and it's in line with kind of the things that I'm talking about and thinking about at the moment, then let me have it. Post in the comments below. Let me have any questions you might have, and I will have a think about how I can weave them into some of these daily videos. So there we go. I will catch up with you again very soon. Bye for now.